Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Welcome to
Only Murders in the Building,
the official podcast.
Join me, Michael Cyril Creighton, as we go behind the scenes with some of the amazing actors, writers, and crew from Season 5.
The audience should never stop suspecting anything.
How can you not be funny crawling around on a coffin?
No, that's true.
Catch Only Murders in the Building official podcast, now streaming wherever you get your podcasts. And watch Only Murders in the Building, streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
entering a realm between the hidden and forgotten, a slipstream caught between realities, a secret museum of the esoteric, the private library of shadows, all taking place in a world forged from mystery and caught between logic and myth. You are entering Parareality.
Good evening, seekers of the strange and the unexplained. Welcome to Parareality, a place where shadows whisper, mysteries linger, and the line between fact and the unknown grows razor thin. I'm Sandman, your guide through the hidden corridors of reality. Here, every question awakens a mystery, and every mystery pulls us deeper into the truth concealed in the shadows. Tonight, we step, once again, into the world where truth and mystery collide. Hey, like my new intro. I like it. Well, I'm finally back from my end of the summer vacation, which wasn't really a vacation. Now, if you follow me on my socials, you'll know that one of the reasons I took a break was to go back home to Alabama to take care of my mother after she had a minor surgery. Now, she's doing fine and has made a full recovery, and I want to thank everybody for all of the well wishes, all of you who asked about how she was doing. Everything is fine. She's doing really good. I'm also in the process of cleaning up the secret bunker. I got to do this every couple of years or so, and it's past time that I cleaned up all the research clutter around here. I'm actually not done yet, so this is still a work in progress. So with all that being said, let's get on with it, shall we? Tonight, we're diving into a tale that has it all, a rare visitor from deep space, genuine scientific investigation, and a wave of conspiracy theories that spread faster than starlight. I'm talking about Comet 3I Atlas, the third interstellar object ever confirmed to pass through our solar system. In July of 2025, when astronomers announced its discovery, they publicly didn't anticipate the public whirlwind that would follow. They saw a chance to study a unique object from another system, but the online world saw a potential alien probe. And tonight, we're going to break down the real story of 3I Atlas, from its discovery to its life as a cultural phenomenon that's filled with conspiracy theories about what it really is. So, turn down the lights, bust out your telescope, and get ready to gaze into the heart of Three-Eye Atlas. Of course, to learn more, you'll have to tune in, and find out. But first, I'd like to take this time to welcome some new followers of the podcast. I'd like to welcome Adriana Gibson, John Kimmler, and Atlantic Ghost Hunter. Thank you, everybody, for the follow. You know, I've got close to, as you know, around 3,000 followers. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're not a regular follower of it, please be sure to do so. I think that you'll find this podcast differs from others like it by offering a unique and different point of view from the norm. I like to present the evidence to you and let you, the listener, make up your own mind. And I encourage you to do your own thorough research. And if you follow the podcast, if you're a follower of the podcast on whatever podcast app you're listening to, thank you. And if you don't follow me on the socials, though, you need to do that too, because it's where you can keep up with all the latest goings on with Parareality, as well as get a little glimpse, a looky-loo peek into my personal life. I'll be giving you all the deets on how you can do that later on this podcast, but I've been making some videos for my YouTube channel. I have had this YouTube channel, and I really didn't know what to do with it, so I'm creating more content for YouTube and doing some more behind-the-scenes videos and stuff about my travels and stuff, and I've got a couple of videos I haven't even put up yet because I haven't had time to edit them. But if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, make sure you keep on listening later on in the podcast, because I'm going to tell you how you can find it. It's really easy. So once again, thank you to John Kimmler, Adriana Gibson, and Atlantic Ghost Hunter, 3 new followers of the podcast. And I've got some more big news. I am super excited to announce that I'm going to be at the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo in Mayfield, Kentucky on Saturday, September the 27th, 2025. That's just in a couple of weeks. It's going to be held at the Mayfield Graves County Fairgrounds in Mayfield, Kentucky, starting at 10 a.m., ending at 7 p.m. local time. I believe that's still Central Time. Admission's only $10, and it's a small price to pay to go to a great family-friendly event such as this. If you're going to be there and you've had some sort of encounter with cryptids, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Bigfoot, or other strange and unusual phenomena, then I want to hear your story. So come find me and share your experience. I'll be there with the Parareality table and all of my gear set up, ready to meet you face to face. So if you've ever had an unusual, mysterious, or downright creepy experience, come find my table, share your story. It just might end up featured on the podcast. Now, this is your chance to connect with fellow truth seekers, swap some creepy and eerie tales, and dive headfirst into the mysteries that surround us. Don't miss out on a full day of the paranormal. Just head on over to extremeticketing.com. That's spelled with an X, so it's XTREME ticketing, extremeticketing.com, and search for the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo. Or you can go to their Facebook page, West Kentucky Paranormal Expo, for more information and to get links to tickets and everything there. So don't miss out on this opportunity. If you're going to be there, come find me, share your story, or just say hi, because I'd love to meet you, whether you've got a story or not. So I'll see you in the shadows at the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo, where the weird is welcome.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Parareality is a proud member of the Evergreen Podcast Network. For more information or to check out other shows on the network, please visit evergreenpodcast.com.
secret bunker somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee. This is the award-winning podcast, Parareality.
Welcome back to Parareality, where the line between science and the strange isn't always as clear as we think. I'm your host, Sandman, and tonight we're going to dive deep into one of the weirdest space stories of 2025, a story about a visitor from beyond our solar system. Back in July of this year, astronomers spotted something unusual, an object traveling through space at a speed and trajectory that meant only one thing. It wasn't from here. They named it 3I Atlas. Now, on the surface, it's just another comet. We've seen two of these interstellar objects before, and I'm going to slaughter this name so you guys know who I am. Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019. But this time, the story didn't stop at scientific curiosity. No, this time things spiraled into claims of alien probes and doomsday prophecies and secret government projects and such. So for the next hour, we're going to peel back the layers of the conspiracy theories surrounding 3I Atlas. We'll talk about the science. We'll talk about the speculation. And we'll ask, why do we always jump to cover up whenever something new drifts in from the stars? So settle in, turn off the lights, and let's unravel the mystery of 3I Atlas. So just what is 3I Atlas? Well, before we get into the conspiracy theories, let's start off with the basics. And let's ask and answer the question, what exactly is 3I Atlas? Well, to understand that, you first need to know what an interstellar object is. Most of the comets and asteroids we see come from our own solar system, fragments left over from its formation 4.5 billion years ago. They orbit our sun, sometimes on long looping paths that take hundreds or even thousands of years. But every once in a while, something shows up that doesn't belong. Something that's moving too fast on a trajectory that doesn't loop around the sun at all, but instead just passes through. Those objects are visitors from beyond, chunks of ice or rock ejected from other star systems drifting through our galaxy until, by sheer chance, they just happen to wander into ours. The first time we ever spotted one was in 2017. That was Oumuamua, which means scout in Hawaiian. Now, Oumuamua baffled astronomers because of its odd cigar shape and its strange acceleration. And then in 2019, we found another one, Borisov. Now, unlike Oumuamua, Borisov looked and behaved just like a normal comet, except that it came from outside the solar system. And now we jump forward to this year, 2025. That's when astronomers using the Atlas survey in Hawaii detected a third one, 3I Atlas. The 3I stands for Third Interstellar Object. The name tells you everything. This was only the third time in human history we'd confirmed something drifting in from another solar system. So, what do we know about it? Well, for starters, its speed. 3I Atlas was clocked at tens of kilometers per second. That's fast enough that the sun's gravity couldn't capture it. Its path was hyperbolic, meaning it wasn't in any kind of orbit at all. It was just passing through, never to return. That's the giveaway sign of an interstellar visitor. Next, we have its appearance. Early observations showed a fuzzy coma, a cloud of gas and dust, just like a comet. But later, when the James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST for short for those in the know, when JWST got a closer look, it revealed a composition rich in carbon dioxide ice, again, consistent with a comet, but in those first few weeks, all we had were rough measurements and blurry images. And in science, when data is incomplete, interpretation can get a little messy. Now, here's why it stood out. Compared to, let's say, Borisov, 3I Atlas seemed a little brighter than expected. Its coma was unusually active. Some observers thought it might have fragmented and shed its pieces as it entered the inner solar system. And other observers noted that the brightness didn't match its estimated size. Now, that strangeness opened the door for speculation. Was it just a normal comet behaving oddly? Or was there something more going on? And timing matters too. Now, think about the world here in mid-2025. Public trust in institutions is shaky at best. UFOs, now rebranded as UAPs, well, they're all over the news with government hearings and whistleblowers making headlines seem like every other day. And people are already primed to believe that strange things in the sky might not be what they seem. So here's the setup. Scientists find an object from another solar system. It's only the third time in history we've seen one. The data is patchy, the explanations are cautious, and the public is already suspicious of official narratives. So you can probably see where this is going. In the absence of firm answers, the internet started making up its own. And that's when 3I Atlas transformed from an icy rock flying through the void into a canvas for every fear, prophecy, and theory you can imagine. So now that we know what 3I Atlas is, a comet from outside our solar system, the real story begins. Because as soon as astronomers announced it, the conspiracy theories exploded. And that's not surprising. When you mix together the mystery of interstellar visitors, the public's distrust of authority, and the echo chambers of the internet, you get a recipe for wild speculation. So let's walk through the three biggest narratives that started circulating about 3I Atlas. The first being the alien probe theory. This one has deep roots. Ever since Oumuamua in 2017, people speculated that interstellar objects could actually be spacecraft. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb famously suggested back in 2017 that Oumuamua might be artificial because of its strange acceleration. And that idea, for better or for worse, has stuck in the public imagination. So when 3I Atlas was discovered, conspiracy theorists immediately jumped to the conclusion that it wasn't a comet at all, that it was a probe sent by aliens. On Reddit, in UFO forums, and even in some YouTube videos, the story began taking shape here, and they said things like the strange brightness of 3I Atlas wasn't just cometary activity, it was an energy signature. They said things like the fragmentation scientists talked about wasn't the comet breaking apart, it was the deployment of smaller craft from within the overall bigger one. And the fact that it came right after a wave of UAP hearings here in the U.S., well, that was painted as quote-unquote proof of a connection, that aliens are sending reinforcements or at least checking up on us somehow. And the alien probe theory didn't need hard evidence. It just needed mystery, and 3I Atlas definitely gave us plenty of that. The second is the Doomsday Comet theory. Now, this second narrative is it's all about fear. Some people claim that 3I Atlas wasn't going to just pass through. It was on a collision course with Earth. Now, the actual trajectory calculations were clear on this. This object was never coming anywhere near our planet. But in the world of conspiracy, official data is always suspect. People online argue that NASA was lying, that they were covering up the truth to avoid mass panic and stuff like that. So this theory, man, it snowballed quick. And TikTok videos went viral, people predicting specific dates of impact and stuff. And A few fringe religious groups even tied Three-Eye Atlas to apocalyptic prophecies, saying it was the wormwood star from the book of Revelation, which is destined to poison Earth's waters. Doomsday narrative has always found a foothold in comics. Think back to Halley's Comet in 1910 when people bought comet pills to protect themselves from toxic gases. Three-Eye Atlas was just the latest in a long line of celestial scare stories. Then there was the Hale-Bopp Comet back in the 90s. That whole cult thing with that. I mean, that was ridiculous. And how many people killed themselves over that in that one, the whole cult, So, like I said, the Three-Eye Atlas is just the latest in a long line of these comic conspiracy theories. Next, we have the Project Bluebeam connection. And that's probably the most out there theory, that Three-Eye Atlas is part of Project Bluebeam. Now, if you've never heard of it, I should probably do an episode on it. But if you've never heard of it, Project Bluebeam is a long-standing conspiracy theory that claims world governments, or maybe a secret global cabal of sorts, plan to use advanced holographic technology to fake an alien invasion. The purpose? To unite the world under a single new world order. In this version, Three-Eye Atlas wasn't a comet at all. It was just a prop. It's a celestial stage light for the big show. Some believers said it was a satellite disguised as a comet, projecting signals or even preparing the sky for massive holograms and stuff. Others claimed that when Three-Eye Atlas passed, it would trigger the beginning of the staged invasion. Now, what's interesting here is how old conspiracies adapt to new events. Project Bluebeam dates back to the 1990s, but it latched onto Three-Eye Atlas like instantly. That's how these theories stay alive, by attaching themselves to whatever unexplained event is happening right now. So, in just the first few weeks after its discovery, Three-Eye Atlas became three different things all at once. To some, it was an alien scout ship. To others, it was the comet that would wipe us out, death and destruction, Armageddon. And still to others, it was a stage prop for a massive government psyop. And remember, the scientific community hadn't even had time to finish its first round of peer-reviewed papers. But online, the story was already written. That's the power of conspiracy culture today. A telescope sees a fuzzy speck of light, and before long, half the internet's convinced that it's either our salvation or our doom. So next up, we're going to start pulling those theories apart, looking at where they came from, why people believe them, and what they say about us as a society. But first, unfortunately, it's time to try to pay some bills around here. So let's take a quick break, and I will be right back.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sandman, host of the Para-Reality Podcast. I want to invite you to join me on September 20th at this year's Anomicon virtual conference, where I'll be a featured speaker. My presentation is called The Ethics of Conspiracy Theories and Accountability, When Belief Crosses into Harm. We'll be examining how unfounded narratives can spiral into real-world consequences, from harassment and violence to the erosion of democratic institutions. Conspiracy theories don't just live online. They shape lives, they influence behavior, and sometimes they destroy. This talk isn't just about identifying the problem. It's about asking the hard questions. What responsibility do we have when we share these stories, and where do we draw the line between belief and harm? Anomicon is an annual, free, virtual conference that brings together speakers from around the world to present their research and insights on all things anomalous, from UFOs and the paranormal to the cryptozoological and supernatural. Anomicon attempts to get to the heart of these mysteries, one discussion at a time. It'll be streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, X, and Facebook, so mark your calendars for September the 20th. Join me for this important conversation at Anomicon 2025. Find out more at anomicon.com, and I'll see you there.
Man, I am super excited that I am going to be presenting at Anomicon. Now, this is on Saturday, September 20th. It begins at 10 a.m. Central Time. I don't yet know when my lecture is going to be. They haven't told me what time I'm presenting yet, but as soon as I know, I will make a social media announcement and let you guys know. So make sure that you support the podcast by watching Anomicon. It's free on Saturday, September 20th at 10 a.m. Central Time, and you can find it on X, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. To find out more, just go to anomicon.com. Now, let's get back to talking about 3i Atlas. So, on the other side of the break, I was talking about taking some of the conspiracy theories, the major ones, and just like pulling them apart, looking at where they came from, why people believe them, and most of all, what they say about us as a society. So let's start with the most popular and honestly the most exciting theory, that 3i Atlas wasn't just a comet, it's an alien probe. This idea didn't come out of nowhere. It's part of a long tradition of people looking at the skies and wondering if what we're seeing is more than just a natural rock and ice. And to understand why it's stuck so strongly to 3i Atlas, we have to rewind just a little bit back to 2017 when humanity first got a taste of what an interstellar visitor might look like. Yes, I'm talking about Oumuamua. Oumuamua was our first interstellar object that we recorded anyway. And it baffled scientists, and people are still talking about it today. It had a strange elongated shape. It rotated really weird, and it didn't quite behave like what you would think a normal comet would. And when astronomers noticed that it accelerated slightly without any type of visible outgassing, it raised a lot of eyebrows. So you enter Avi Loeb, who is a Harvard astrophysicist, and he suggested that this thing, Oumuamua, could be artificial, like a piece of alien technology, maybe even a solar sail, or a probe of some kind. And while most scientists disagreed, that one suggestion from Avi Loeb sparked a cultural wildfire. UFO and UAP enthusiasts seized on it, books were written about it, documentaries were made, and Oumuamua became synonymous with alien probes. So when 3i Atlas came along, it was already living in Oumuamua's shadow. And people were primed to say, here we go again, this isn't just a rock, it's watching us. So what is the case for 3i Atlas as a probe? So let's look at why conspiracy theorists specifically latched onto 3i Atlas. Well, brightness anomalies. Early measurements showed that the comet was brighter than expected. To scientists, that just suggested it was fragmenting or venting more gas than usual. But in conspiracy theory circles, that brightness became a power source. Maybe it was an energy shield. Maybe it was an engine flare. The leap from active comet to alien tech was small when people already wanted to believe. And then we have the fragmentation. When astronomers suggested 3i Atlas might be breaking apart, some online theorists flipped the script and claimed that the pieces weren't chunks of ice or anything else, that the chunks were actually smaller craft being deployed from the larger one. Think of it like a mothership releasing its drones. Now, this fit perfectly with the idea of probes being sent quietly to observe Earth. And there's also the timing with the UAP hearings. Here's where the cultural context mattered. In the U.S., government hearings on unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, were happening almost at the exact same time that 3i Atlas was detected. Whistleblowers were hinting at a secret crash retrieval program. News outlets were running serious stories about UFOs and UAPs for the first time in decades. And against that backdrop, the appearance of an interstellar comet felt too convenient. So online, people asked, was this coincidence, or was it part of the same alien story? And the alien probe theory thrives because it taps into both hope and fear. On one hand, the idea that another civilization is reaching out to us is exciting, it's thrilling, and it makes the universe feel alive and full of connection and a little bit less small. But on the other hand, there's the fear that maybe they're not friendly. Maybe 3i Atlas is, a probe, a scout for invasion. This duality is a powerful thing. It's the same energy that fueled fascination with Roswell back in 1947, or the ancient astronaut theories about the pyramids. Humans want to believe we're not alone, but we're not sure if not alone is a blessing or a curse. So the alien probe theory also had a strange, it had a structural advantage. It was simple. You didn't need to understand orbital mechanics or gas outgassing. You just need to look at a weird comet and say, that doesn't look right. Maybe that's not natural. In a world full of memes and 60-second TikToks, that's an easy sell. Meanwhile, scientists are trying to publish peer-reviewed papers about dust-to-gas ratios. So guess which story grabbed people's attention more, right? So the alien probe theory took off because the stage was already set. Oumuamua planted the seed, mistrust of government fertilized it, and the strange little quirks of 3i Atlas watered it. Before long, it wasn't just a comet in the sky. It was a messenger from another civilization, maybe even a spy. Now, whether you believe that or not, it tells us something important. When science doesn't give immediate crystal clear answers, they're going to invent their own. And in this case, the answer they invented was that we're being watched. Next up, we'll turn to the darker side of things. The people who said 3i Atlas wasn't just a probe, they claimed it was on a collision course with Earth, the Doomsday Comet theory. So the second big theory around 3i Atlas isn't that it was just an alien probe, but that it's a death sentence for Earth. This idea has been around for as long as comets have. For most of human history, comets were seen as bad omens, harbingers of disaster. They appeared suddenly, often blood red or with long fiery tails, and our ancestors read them as warnings from the gods. Even in the modern era, that instinct to fear comets doesn't really seem to have ever fully gone away. So you take Halley's Comet in 1910. Scientists announced that Earth would pass through its tail, which contained trace elements of cyanogen gas. Newspapers hyped it up and people panicked. Some brought comet pills or special gas masks, and others thought it was the end of the world. More recently, think about Comet Elnan in 2011. On conspiracy forums, people claimed that NASA was lying about its orbit and that it would collide with the Earth or trigger earthquakes and pole shifts. And it didn't, but the narrative was sticky enough that it still gets brought up to this day. So when 3i Atlas was discovered, it was pretty inevitable that some people would say, here we go again. NASA says it's safe, but they're lying. Now, just in a kind of, I don't know, you could probably say this is unrelated. I don't know. But what this reminds me of is that old 1980s cartoon Thundar the Barbarian. Now, if you've never seen it, you owe yourself to watch that series. It was on for several years, probably 3 or 4 years, and it of course it's 80s animation and 80s storytelling for kids. So you got it. I don't know how well the animation and stuff is going to hold up to today's standards, but back in the time it was pretty good. The storylines were simple because they were for children, but yet it was really well done. And the whole basis behind it was that sometime in the Earth's future, a comet passed between the Earth and the moon, and it caused all of this devastation. It cracked the moon in half, and it caused floods and earthquakes, probably pole shifts and stuff like that here on the Earth, and it just caused total chaos and plunged us into kind of like the Dark Ages again, so to speak. And instead of relying on science to guide us, people turned to magic, and it was a conglomeration of magicians and pseudoscience and weird creatures and all kinds of stuff, and it was pretty interesting. It kind of reminds me of what we're talking about with 3i Atlas, and it's also kind of very reminiscent about what's going on with our current system today, as far as how not to make this political, but how those who are in charge of our nation are moving away from things like science and medicine and technology, and they want to move us back to if something happens, if you get sick, rub some dirt on it and dance around a fire naked and pray to whatever God you happen to believe in, and that's kind of where we're headed I digress. That's kind of getting myself up there. Anyway, so that's kind of what this reminds me of, is Thundar the Barbarian. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch Thundar the Barbarian. I'm sure you can find it on Prime or something like that. So, getting back. So, here's what the Doomsday theorists said. That there was a trajectory cover-up. Official data showed that 3i Atlas would miss Earth by millions of miles, but conspiracy circles claim that those numbers were, of course, fake. They said NASA and other space agencies are deliberately downplaying the risk to prevent mass panic. And then that leads us to impact date predictions. So you've got TikTok videos and fringe YouTubers. They are naming exact dates of when the comet would, quote unquote, hit. And some tied it to blood moons, which is what's going on right now, I believe, eclipses or astrological alignments, stuff like that. And you have religious overlays because certain prophecy groups linked 3i Atlas to the wormwood star mentioned in the book of Revelation, which is supposed to poison the earth's waters. And others said it was the beginning of the Day of Judgment. And then there's government bunkers. This is a popular spin that the elites are secretly building or stocking bunkers in anticipation of this comet impacting us while telling the public everything's fine. Now, here is an example of this is not necessarily a conspiracy theory. This is a proven conspiracy here because we all know that the elites and those who can afford it do have secret bunkers. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. I've seen too many documentaries from people who have, purchased missile silos from the Cold War and turned it into bunkers for the rich and the powerful. So here's a perfect example of when conspiracy meets reality, because when conspiracy theory meets conspiracy reality, because that is not a theory. That is a proven fact. So why do people believe all this stuff? Well, Doomsday Comet theories thrive because they combine science, fear, and distrust, orbital data, is hard for the average person to read and to understand. So when the scientists say, don't worry, the math checks out, it doesn't really feel convincing. But when a YouTuber says, they're lying and here's the proof in this blurry chart, fear takes over. And fear spreads fast online, especially when it taps into survival instincts and religious imagery. Now, look, I want to say I am not a scientist, okay? I am not up here to tell you that I understand comet science and orbital data and all this other sorts of stuff, because I don't. I am not one of those people, you know. But what I can do is I can look at multiple sources, reliable sources, and I can interpret what they're telling us. And I can, if I've got multiple sources that are saying all pretty much the exact same thing, then as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty convincing. That's good enough for me. But of course, 3i Atlas, as far as we know right now, doesn't pose a threat. The math is sound and astronomers have tracked it closely, but in conspiracy theories, that doesn't matter. For those believers, the comet is a ticking time bomb and NASA is the villain hiding the clock. They're just evil, you know. I don't know why, if there was something coming towards our planet that was going to cause mass destruction and devastation, I don't know why that the governments of the world would collectively get together and lie to everybody in the whole entire world and say, oh, it's fine, it's not coming, it's not going to hit us. What's the advantage of that? Just to keep calm, to keep the population under control until all hell breaks loose, until they can't anymore? You realize that it would take every leader of every nation in the whole entire world to cooperate on this, and we can't even get people to cooperate about, you know, who's buying what from what country and who's charging what tariff and who's going to pay for what. So you can't, there's absolutely no way that this thing were coming and it was going to hit us, that every country, every leader of every country in the whole entire world would band together and say, oh yeah, they can't even agree on shit. So that just takes that theory and just flushes it down the toilet. So the next thing I want to talk about is one of the wildest theories, and that's that 3i Atlas isn't a comet at all, but part of Project Bluebeam. So Project Bluebeam is a conspiracy theory that started back in the 1990s, and it claims governments or some secret global cabal plan to fake an alien invasion using advanced hologram technology, satellites, and psychological manipulation. The supposed end game here, well, is to unite the world under a single one world government. It's been debunked countless times, but like all good conspiracies, it refuses to die. And instead, it latches on to new events. And here in 2025, it latched on to 3i Atlas. So here's how the believers framed it. They said that 3i Atlas wasn't natural at all. It was a disguised satellite or even a holographic projection in the sky being used to set the stage for the coming show. Others claimed that the comet was broadcasting frequencies to manipulate human minds and soften us up for the staged invasion, as I use my air quotes. And there's the timing with the UAP hearings, just like the alien probe theory. Bluebeam believers connected the dots with UAP disclosures happening here in the U.S., and they argued that this was all coordinated. First, condition the public with UFO stories, then roll out the giant holographic invasion with 3i Atlas as the cosmic stage light. So why does it resonate so well? Well, Project Bluebeam appeals to a very specific audience, people who see every major event as staged, as theater designed to control. For them, 3i Atlas was too convenient. Another anomaly in the sky showing up just as UFOs were making the headlines. Well, that couldn't be coincidence. It had to be part of the script. So of all the theories, this one might sound the most outlandish, but it highlights a key point. Conspiracy theorists don't need new material. They have a tendency to recycle old ideas, dressing them up in fresh clothes. And Project Bluebeam was born in the 1990s, but here it is in 2025, alive and well, hitching a ride on a comet from another solar system. Now, beyond the big three, the alien probe, the Doomsday Cult, and Project Bluebeam, there are smaller, stranger theories floating around. Think of these as the fringe of the fringe. So the first one is hybrid theories. Some people blended all the narratives together. For example, 3i Atlas was both a doomsday weapon and an alien probe, a scout ship that could also double as a planet killer. Or it was part of Bluebeam but operated by actual aliens, not humans. That's a bizarre partnership between government cabals and extraterrestrials. Then you have your spiritual and occult spins on it. Other groups went to like the more mystical side of things, I guess. They said that 3i Atlas isn't something that's physical at all. It's a cosmic harbinger, a spiritual sign of the end times, or an energy shift for humanity. Some New Age communities claims that it's radiating frequencies that are designed to awaken human consciousness. And then finally we have the hidden payload theory. Now this is another fringe claim that the comet is carrying something inside of it, but we don't know what. It's been speculated that it could be alien spores, nanotech, or even something like a data capsule planted by another civilization. So instead of watching us, it's delivering a package of something that could be death and destruction, pestilence and disease, or something that's going to improve our world, make us live forever. I don't know. So these fringe theories didn't spread as widely, but they show how flexible conspiracy thinking can be. No matter what your worldview, religious, spiritual, technological, you can find a way to project it onto 3i Atlas. This comet is like a blank canvas for human imagination painted over with fear, hope, or paranoia. So the big question is, why do people believe this stuff? Why does a comet turn into a Death Star or a hologram or an alien mothership? Well, ambiguity breeds speculation. When astronomers first spotted 3i Atlas, as I've already said earlier, the data was fuzzy. There weren't any high-resolution images, there weren't any detailed models, just numbers and light curves. Now, for us conspiracy thinkers, that gap was an invitation where science says we don't know yet. The conspiracy people say, well, let me fill in the blanks for you, right? And then you have a mistrust of authority. We live in a time when public trust in institutions is at probably an all-time low, at least in my lifetime. Governments, media, even science itself, they're all seen by a lot of people as deceptive or just downright corrupt. So when NASA says, don't worry, it's just a comet, in conspiracy circles, the response is, that's exactly what they'd say if it wasn't. And then you have internet amplification. Social media platforms, let's face it, they reward sensationalism. A dry explanation about commentary outgassing gets, maybe 100 views. But the flashy video saying in all caps, alien probe deploys drones, that gets 1 million views. Algorithms favor the dramatic, and conspiracy theories thrive in that environment. And then we have psychological comfort. As strange as it sounds, conspiracy theories can be comforting. If 3i Atlas is just a random comet, it means the universe is chaotic, uncaring, and unpredictable. But if it's a probe or part of a plan, then at least there's meaning. Like, someone's in control, even if it's, some sinister cabal with nefarious, designs. At least someone's in control. That's why people believe. It's not just about the comet. It's about trust, meaning, and the human need for stories. 3i Atlas isn't just ice and dust. It's in the minds of millions of people. It's become a stage for some of our deepest, darkest fears and wildest imagination. Now, after all that talk of alien probes and doomsday scenarios, it's time to bring in some reality, because despite the noise, the evidence strongly suggests that 3i Atlas is just a comet. A fascinating one, yes, but natural all the same. So here's why. Composition and activity. When the James Webb Space Telescope observed 3i Atlas, it detected carbon dioxide, ice, and dust. That's textbook comet behavior. We've seen the same chemistry in comets inside our own solar system. So if it were artificial, we'd expect signals that don't fit natural processes, like unusual metals, structured emissions, or patterns inconsistent with physics. Guess what? None of that showed up. Next, we have the brightness issue. Remember how people said the comet was too bright? Well, comets often flare up when they shed material or fragment. Think of it like a snowball tossed on a fire. The outer layers vaporize, releasing gas and dust that reflect sunlight. For 3i Atlas, its brightness changes lined up neatly with this kind of natural breakup. And then we have the path. Its trajectory was exactly what you'd expect from an interstellar rock. It came in fast, swung around the sun on a hyperbolic curve, and now it's going to pass through our solar system and leave for good. There's no evidence of a controlled motion or no sudden changes that would suggest steering or anything like that. And finally, we have consistency with previous visitors. Both Oumuamua and Borisov taught us that interstellar debris is out there, and it can behave in ways that surprise us. 3i Atlas, yes, it's unusual, but unusual doesn't equal artificial. If anything, it confirmed that there's a wide variety of cometary behavior in deep space. So the bottom line, 3i Atlas fits the bill for a natural comet. It's weird, it's interesting, but it doesn't break the laws of physics. Science has plenty of mysteries left, but this one doesn't require little green men or secret satellites or anything like that to explain it. But still, we got to ask, why does the alien probe story persist even when the science points elsewhere? Well, the answer is simple. It's because of the allure of hostile technology. From War of the Worlds to Independence Day, our culture is so steeped in stories about aliens showing up with advanced tech, usually hostile. So when we see something strange in the sky, our imaginations don't go to chunks of ice. They go straight to spaceship and invasion. Hostile tech stories give shape to our fears. If 3i Atlas is just a random rock, then the universe is vast and indifferent. But if it's a probe, then we're part of a bigger story, a cosmic game of chess, if you will. It means our fears aren't random. They're targeted. And for many people, that makes them easier to process. And let's not forget the cultural movement we're in. UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, are in the headlines everywhere. They're in government hearings, even in Pentagon reports. Against that backdrop, any strange visitor from space is going to get framed as tech. It's just too tempting to connect the dots, even if the dots don't actually line up. So the hostile tech narrative sticks around because it's dramatic, it's familiar, and it taps into our collective imagination. It's not about evidence. It's about the stories we've been telling ourselves for over a century. Now let's talk about how these stories spread, because it's not just that people came up with wild ideas, it's that the internet amplified them. As I've already touched on before, social media platforms reward the dramatic. A 10-minute video of a scientist explaining CO2 outgassing might get a few hundred or a few thousand views. But if you got a TikTok that's titled, in all caps, "Alien Probe Deploys Drones Near Earth," that's going to rack up millions of views, because algorithms are designed to keep us hooked, and fear and excitement are more addictive than careful analysis. And mainstream media sometimes makes things worse. Early reports often emphasize mystery. Science baffled by strange object. That's because that drives clicks, right? And by the time follow-up articles say things like, "Oh, it's just a comet," the dramatic version has already taken root, and they've already got their clicks, and they've already got their likes, and they've already got their shares, and they've already got their money. And then on forums like Reddit or Discord, once a theory catches fire, the group dynamics reinforces it. Doubters get pushed out, and believers get rewarded with likes and shares, and the theory snowballs into certainty. So it's not just about belief, it's about an ecosystem that thrives on dramatic viral narratives. 3i Atlas isn't just a comet, it's content. And in the digital age, content is king. And look at me, I'm making content out of it too, And look, I identify myself as a conspiracy theorist, but I am also a responsible conspiracy theorist. And when I see things like 3i Atlas, and people are saying they're ignoring all the science, and they're saying, "Oh my God, it's an alien probe, or it's an alien ship, or it's going to hit the Earth, or it's it's doomsday, blah blah blah," I have to look at it, and I have to ask myself, why are these people believing this? Why are they saying this? And what's the point? And what does the data say? So when my investigation into it, because I went into it like, I'm not so sure about what this is. I'm going to keep an open mind, and I'm going to, take a look at some hard data. And as I researched it, the data to me says it's a weird comet, but it is a comet. And you know what? I think that we're going to find that this is the third one that in recorded history that we know of, right? And it's out of the three, they're all weird. So I think that we're going to find that these comets that come from outside of our solar system are going to behave differently than we expect, because after all we've been looking at for hundreds of years are comets that are inside of our solar system. So they're predictable. And look, I'm not a scientist. I may be talking out of the side of my mouth. I may be talking completely out of my ass, but I think that we're going to find that comets that come from outside of our solar system, from other areas, that they behave differently than what we expect, because this is the third one, and 100% of them have behaved Weird. Okay, it's time to get that pesky final in-episode commercial out of the way, so listen to this and I'll be right back to begin wrapping up the show. Now, what can we actually learn from this whole thing? Well, I think there are several big takeaways. Number one is that communication matters. Scientists often speak cautiously, and they say things like no evidence, likely natural. But that language can sound evasive to the public. If institutions want to avoid fueling conspiracies, then they need to communicate better, explaining not just what we know, but what we don't know and why. Second takeaway, conspiracies reflect culture. The theories around 3I Atlas tell us less about the comet and really more about us. They show our fears of government secrecy. They show our fascination with aliens and our hunger for apocalyptic stories. These theories are cultural mirrors. Third takeaway is that the internet is a double-edged sword. Yes, it spreads misinformation, but it also spreads curiosity. For every viral video shouting alien ship, there's also communities digging into orbital data, learning real astronomy, and sparking genuine interest in science. And finally, there's more to come. 3I Atlas won't be the last interstellar visitor. Telescopes are getting better, surveys are scanning the skies 24/7, and sooner or later, we'll see another one. And when we do, the same cycle is going to play out. Mystery, speculation, conspiracies, and hopefully, eventually, scientific clarity. But remember, I think that we're going to find this is the third one, and all three have behaved different than normal comets that are inside of our solar system. So I think that we're going to find that these comets that come from outside of our solar system are not going to behave like we think they should. And I think that we're going to have more data. We're going to have more of these come through, but I think that we're going to find that these are going to be different. So the lesson here isn't just about comets. It's about how we as a society handle the unknown. Do we meet it with fear and suspicion or with curiosity and patience? Before we close out, I want to recenter on the science because it's worth celebrating. Think about what 3I Atlas really is. It's a messenger from another star system. This rock, this icy fragment, is traveled for millions, maybe billions of years across the galaxy. It's survived cosmic radiation, gravitational slingshots, the emptiness of interstellar space, only to be spotted by our telescopes for a brief moment in time before vanishing forever. And as far as I'm concerned, that alone's extraordinary. And thanks to it, we get to study chemistry from another solar system. We get to expand our understanding of how planets and comets form. And we even get a tiny glimpse into the shared building blocks of life across the galaxy. In other words, while conspiracy theories might spin 3I Atlas into fear and paranoia, the science behind it is awe-inspiring. It's a reminder that we're part of a much bigger cosmic story, one that's still being written. So, what does 3I Atlas really teach us? It teaches us that the universe is strange, unpredictable, and full of surprises. It teaches us that mystery is a double-edged sword, fuel for both science and speculation. And it teaches us that the stories we tell about the sky often reveal more about us than about the stars themselves. In the end, 3i Atlas isn't an alien probe. It isn't a Doomsday Comet. It isn't a stage light for a holographic invasion. It's just a comet. It's a natural traveler from another star system, and that fact alone should be enough to spark wonder. But maybe the deeper lesson is this. The next time something strange shows up in the sky, the conspiracies will come just as fast. The question is, will we be ready? Not just scientifically, but culturally. Will we be ready to tell a better story? One that embraces curiosity without losing the truth. That's the challenge 3i Atlas leaves us with. And it's one worth thinking about because the universe isn't done surprising us, not by a long shot. Well, that about does it for tonight. Thanks for listening. And before I close it out, here are a couple more things. Hey guys, I'd love to hear from you. Do you have a story, a question, or a topic you'd like me to cover? Well, you can reach me directly by email at sandman@parareality.com, or for a more personal touch, call the Secret Bunker at 615-492-4364 and leave a message. Just know that by calling, you're giving me permission to feature your voice on the podcast. That number to call once again is 615-492-4364. You want to stay up to date with all things Para-Reality? You can follow me on all the major social platforms. I'm at sandman.parareality on Facebook, and you can find me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok by searching for @ParaRealRadio. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Para-Reality1. That's Para-Reality with the number 1 behind it. And don't forget to visit my website, parareality.com. It's where you'll find an archive of all past episodes for free, along with the latest paranormal news from all around the world under the Para News section, and that's updated almost daily. Your support means everything, whether you choose to grab some gear from my store or simply leave me a positive review. A 3-star or higher review on your podcast app of choice goes a long way in helping this podcast reach new listeners, and I truly appreciate it. Thanks for listening to that, everybody. It really does mean a lot for me for you guys to give me a 3-star or better review and follow me, not only on the podcast app of your choice, but on your socials. It really means a lot. Now, if you've listened to this podcast for a while, you know that at one point in time I had a Patreon page and I closed it down. And this year I have relaunched it, and it's still going, still got it up for as little as $1 a month. You can get commercial-free episodes of this podcast and other bonus content. And for just a few bucks more, you'll also have access to my companion podcast, Midnight Syndicate, and Beyond Reality, plus the opportunity to appear as a guest on the podcast. Subscribing to my Patreon not only helps support the podcast, but it also helps me continue to bring you quality content on a regular basis. I don't make money at this. I've intentionally over the years kept this as a smaller podcast. I know I'm not going to be the next Joe Rogan, and no one's going to come knocking on my door and say, here's a whole bunch of money and we want you to be a full-time podcaster. That's not going to happen. I understand that, but it does cost me money to put this podcast on. So every dime that I make from merch sales or from Patreon or anything like that goes right back into helping me produce this podcast. I don't have I don't make a dime, not one single red penny do I make from this podcast. So if you'd like to learn more about my Patreon, how you can support me, you can go to patreon.com/parareality to learn more, to join. There's a 7-day free trial. I get it if you're not I don't know, I want to join that. Well, there's a 7-day free trial. So you can join right now today and get all the content that I've got to offer on Patreon for 7 days. If you like it, great. Keep on, keep it on. If not, then you don't have to renew. It's that simple. Look, I hope that you enjoyed tonight's episode of Parareality. The next episode is going to drop on September 19th. That's next week, 2025 at 8 o'clock p.m. Central U.S. time. So make sure you tune in, and find out. And on the next day, on September 20th, I will be a featured speaker at Anomicon. It is a free virtual event that's going to be broadcast on X, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube beginning at 10 a.m. Central Time. My topic is going to be the ethics of conspiracy theories. I don't know what time I'm going to be presenting. I haven't been told yet, but I will let you guys know, so just keep following me on the socials. And then on the next weekend, on September 27th, that's also a Saturday, I'm going to be at the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo in Mayfield, Kentucky. I'll be there with all of my equipment on the Parareality table and collecting stories of the attendees. I want to hear all your weird stories of the unusual, the eerie, the creepy, the unexplained, whether it's aliens, UFOs, cryptids, Bigfoot, ghosts, whatever, missing time. If you've had stories and you want to tell them, come find me, tell me your story, and it probably there's a 99.8% chance that it will be featured on the podcast. So that's what I'm going to be up to the rest of this month. I hope you guys check me out on Anomicon. It'd be great if you could support the podcast and check me out at Anomicon. And then if you're going to be at the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo, please come find me. You don't even have to tell a story. Just come say, hey, I listened to the podcast. I'd love to meet you guys. So come on by, come find me. Everybody, I hope that this podcast opens up your mind to new ways of thinking, expands your consciousness, and produces a change in the way you see the world. If you wish to change, you must lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe. Hope you have a wonderful evening, a great weekend, and I will see you next week here on Parareality. I'll see you at Anomicon, and then in a couple of weeks on the 27th, I will see you at the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo. Good night, everybody.
If you wish to change, you must first lift the veil of ignorance that has been cast over your eyes. Only then will you see the true power of the universe.
Hey, it's not over. Thanks for sticking around. I got something to tell you. Do you want to be a member of the Secret Sanctum? Well, if you do, there's only one way to do that. Somewhere on parareality.com is a link hidden in my website. And if you can find that link and click on it, you'll be granted access to the secret bunker, and you'll become a member of the Secret Sanctum. It's 100% free. It's not going to cost you anything. And once you become a member, you'll have access to some secret audio files and secret documents, some of which are exclusive only to Parareality and the members of the Secret Sanctum. You'll also get a free Parareality Secret Sanctum t-shirt. Just fill out the form and let me know what size you are, where you're located in your name, and I'll get that right out to you. So if you want to be a member of the Parareality Secret Sanctum and have access to the secret bunker, find the link.